Hi, I'm John. I'm an athlete, a father, and I was a competitive swimmer for about 7 or 8 years through my teenage years, and an Ironman triathlete. And I've coached my son's sports in rugby, rowing, cricket, and that's me. Is that all right?
Yeah.
And should I go?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Stacey. I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist and past athlete. I've done karate, hockey, and a group fitness instructor as well.
What do you find is the sort of biggest misconceptions that you may have about the people you train, but also about them towards you? You know, what are their misconceptions, or what do they think they're going to get and it turns out to be something different?
Abs. Abs. Biggest misconception, abs. I think for some reason abs have become like the gold standard of fitness.
Right.
I think when people think about getting in shape, they think about you having abs.
Yeah.
If someone sees a personal trainer, they almost expect them to have abs.
Right.
And we all have abs.
Yeah.
Abs are literally abdominal muscles. Every single person has them.
Yeah.
It depends on your percentage of body fat.
Yeah, so how well
whether they are visible or not.
Yeah.
And visible abs are not even necessarily a healthy level of body fat percentage
Yes.
for a lot of people.
Yes.
Females in particular,
Yeah.
it's healthier to have some body fat there.
Yeah.
A lot of the time that means your abs will not be visible.
Yes.
Bodybuilders in peak condition only do that for about a week
Yeah.
because of how unhealthy
It
that
is.
body fat percentage actually is.
Yeah.
So I think as a personal trainer, there's a lot of pressure to look a certain way because people have this misconception about what health actually looks like.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it seems to translate to visible abs. And the amount of clients that you get coming to you wanting visible abs, and they think they're going to get it by doing 100 crunches every single day. And it doesn't. It's not like that. It's not how you're going to get it, and it's not necessarily healthy.
Yeah. Because I mean, as you say, at the end of the day, the abdominal is a muscle. If you work that muscle, it will get bigger, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see it, because it's totally dependent on the amount of body fat that's around it. Yeah, totally get it.
Exactly.
Totally get it. Yeah.
So I think abs, to sum it up, biggest misconception for both a personal trainer and a client. I think for some reason they've become the gold standard, and
Right.
it's just not like that. What about you for coaching? Or
Oh well, I think the biggest misconception people have around coaching kids is that they can't do it, and actually, all of the sports that I've coached is because no one else will do it. So I will turn up as a parent to cricket, rugby, swimming, that kind of stuff, and no one puts a hand up to coach, and so I'm one of those people that I can't not, so I do, and I'm standing there going, I have no idea what to do, but actually it's relatively simple, and all you got to do is have a few basics and get the kids going, get them having fun. The key thing for anyone coaching kids, your only role is to make sure they come back next year. So they enjoy it enough and have enough fun that they want to come back next year and do it again. That's it. Because anything else is a bonus, I suppose, but also you don't want to overdo it. They're just there to have fun, so do enough that they come back next year and they want to do it again. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you overdo it and they go, nah, too hard, didn't enjoy it, don't want to play that game anymore. That's sad. Yeah.
obviously technology plays a part these days with the amount of options available.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something that all age groups use, or is it just defined to one?
I think that it is used by all age groups, but I kind of feel that it's mostly adopted by probably 20 plus, and I mainly say that because I think school-age children are probably, as you say, they do lots of sport. They're active anyway, and I think it's really important for, or I think really actually not so much important, but valid for people when they're doing things on their own. Personally, I use a lot of technology. I haven't got it on at the moment, but I have a sports watch that I use for step counting. I use a computer program for when I'm on my wind trainer on my bike. When I'm exercising on my elliptical machine, I do it by the stats. I use the technology. Like I'll aim for a goal for the workout. So personally, I find it really helpful, and with the sort of the kids sports coaching and things that I've done, the technology, the fitness technology hasn't been so appropriate for me. But what is really good is to say, check out this video on YouTube, that kind of thing, which was never around when I was a kid.
For sure, yeah.
So that's where the technology I found has really helped with the coaching I've done for kids. And kids need a small amount of very specific things, depending on how young they are. It's about the basics and not too much at any one given point of time. I've coached rugby, cricket, triathlon, and I find that you give them one or two things to take away and work on, and that seems to work. And the older they get, you can then start adding to that. But when they're young, all they want to do is have fun, and you just have to make it fun, and they're happy. Yeah. How about yourself? Any experience with kids coaching or
not with kids? No, not really with kids. It's definitely probably, I played sport myself as a child, and that was probably when we had less technology around. Like, you were lucky if you had a computer at home. So I love the idea of like telling them, go away and watch this YouTube video. It's going to help a lot. That's awesome. And something that for sports coaching never used to be around. So it's cool using that.
And how are you finding technology, with, do you agree that the uptake's probably 20 plus, or what are you seeing?
I definitely would say 20 plus, but then as you get older, there's kind of that tail off again, where it's people's more like 50 or 60 plus that don't necessarily have access to, their phones don't have the step tracker inbuilt, or they wouldn't know how on earth to work a smartwatch for the step tracker, that kind of thing. So it probably does, like, it's the start of life and end of life that it's like there's a little bit less technology at both ends of the spectrum, I suppose, as opposed to in the middle where it's all we use now. Like the fact of I don't even have a normal watch. My watch is the smartwatch. So which they joke about, we look like Spy Kids all the time. So we walk around looking like Spy Kids and we don't even think about it. So for a lot of people, even trying to introduce something like a step count, it's probably something that I need to think about as like, do you have access to something where you can track your steps? Because for some people, they just don't. But
for most people you train, they would?
Probably majority, yes. But like you kind of said with the kids and the sports training, it becomes a little bit less relevant as well, I suppose. It depends on what their goals are. If they're training to be a swimming athlete, is their step count relevant? Probably not. Versus someone who's in their 20s, 30s or 40s coming to the gym to just lose a bit of weight, get a little bit healthier, step count's huge.
Totally.
So it depends on the focus as
well.
So
do you find that the technology helps training these people, like giving them goals and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. It gives them something measurable that they can track. And if someone's got a competitive nature, then the technology is huge as well, because the feedback that you get from that technology, whether or not it's the smartwatch or, as you mentioned, like with the machine, so you set your targets on the machine. If someone has a competitive streak in them, it's huge. The progress you're going to get from that is huge. Versus people that aren't too competitive, I feel like the technology in that sense is less effective. But then we go back more to the knowledge obtaining part of technology. So if there's a YouTube video, encouraging them to watch that.
I think there's also a satisfaction piece to it too, or a whereby like for example, if you say to one of your clients, do 10,000 steps a day, and they get to the end of the week and go, I've done 80,000, woohoo! Yeah. I'm a winner. So there's sort of like a positive reinforcement aspect to it, and I think that's probably like a really good tool.
100%.
Yeah. Training kids and things is, and sort of also with myself, my own training, the value of support and thinking on it, it's different for everything, or for every stage. I know for the kids, they have their parents, they have us as their coaches, and they also have themselves for positive affirmation, because kids are kids, they like to have fun, and they'll go, oh, that was great, man, you did so well, and da-da-da, and I find that, as coaches of kids, our job is to give positive reinforcement. I mean, there's only so much technical guidance a child can take because they're there for fun, which is great. And I think from the parent's perspective, the object is to be there as a quiet support for your child, and don't think you need to get too involved, because you don't. In fact, from what I've seen, the very involved parents can actually push their children away from sport over time. And when I say over time, I'm talking about post-secondary school. I've seen plenty of examples of where these overly involved parents are just at their children the whole time to be the best, to do this, to do that, and then the kids finish school and go, that's it, I'm done. I'm done. It has to be about enjoyment. So I mean, with the gym and all the different types of people and different stages of people, I mean, what's been your feelings on the support that different people need at different times as they're going through their journeys?
Yeah, it's interesting when you're younger how the parents play such a big role. As you move out of home, you're suddenly exposed to a completely different environment, where at home, a lot of kids, dinner's cooked for them, lunch is packed for them, everything's quite controlled in the home environment. As soon as you step out of that, you go flatting, you're suddenly exposed to your friends more than your parents. The difference is huge. And I think if whatever your environment is, you become your environment. And so for someone who decides they want to make a change, they want to come to the gym, they want to get a bit fitter, get a bit healthier, it's very difficult to do that when a trainer is telling them to eat this, do this, do this. You come home and your flatmates are watching TV, eating takeaways. How on earth do you pull yourself away from that and say, no, I have to go for a run, and I have to meal prep, and I have to do this and do this? It takes a lot of internal willpower if your environment doesn't match your goals. If you live with flatmates who are like-minded and also fit and healthy individuals, it becomes easier to become a fit and healthy individual.
Because you're all doing it together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As they get older again, suddenly they've got their own families. If their partner isn't supporting them on their journey, again, it becomes difficult. If you've got your partner and a few young kids at home, you have to get the whole family backing. Otherwise, it becomes insanely hard for an individual.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so their journey, everyone probably has a support system and has an environment. When you're younger, it's your parents. As you get older, it becomes your friends, and then it becomes your own family. It becomes your own partner and your kids. So whatever that support system feels like, it's hard to go against that.
Yeah.
The more support you have at home, the easier it is.
Yeah. And I concur with exactly what you're saying, because I've got two kids. We cook meals for the kids, and I like to eat a lot of vegetables and that kind of thing, and often the boys like meat and that kind of thing. So I eat way more meat than I actually feel comfortable with. But actually, it's about the fact that we're cooking for the kids, and it's just easier. You know, it's like, oh, can I be bothered cooking a second meal? No. You know what I mean? And
for sure, yeah.
Yeah. So you just eat it. But
so maybe with the kids, it's not just the parents influencing the kids. It sounds like the kids are also influencing the parents back as well.
Yeah. Well, when you're both working and you've got to cook a meal, and you know, it's really about what's good for the kids. You know, because if the kids won't eat it, then you've got a problem.
Of course.
You know. So yeah. But anyway, it is interesting. It is interesting, just what you're saying about partner support and that kind of thing. But it's also environment again, as you're saying. But I find now that was kind of with the kids thing. It was probably more sort of up until sort of recent, but more now. I do take a little bit more sort of a role in making sure that I eat what I want to eat. More, but I still probably eat more meat than I should.
Wow.
You know, more than I feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
It
doesn't change throughout. There's always someone else influencing.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Kids and sport.
Yeah.
Competitive natures, that would come into that a lot, right?
I mean, with kids, it has to be fun, and especially if you're training boys, if you make it a game, then you get a lot of benefit, and they get a lot of benefit because most of them are naturally competitive. And if you make it a game, if there's not a winner per se, but if there's ways to win, then they will try harder. I found with the young girls that I've trained, they are more equally competitive, but in a different way. They're more as interested in the game as they are in the information.
Right.
So they're interested in how to get better.
Yeah.
Whereas the young boys just want to play games. You know, they just want to have fun and race each other, and who tackles the bag the hardest, and you know, this kind of thing. Who gets the ball first is more the stuff they're interested in. The young girls are equally as competitive, but are also interested in how to get better. So more information based, which is kind of interesting. So I'm not sure if that translates to what you see with the older. And when I'm talking about kids, I'm talking about sort of, you know, primary school through to, you know, intermediate type, you know, maybe 12, 13. And then I've coached a few kids older, but mostly as an assistant for someone that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah, being competitive, I think as you get older, you've got to be competitive with yourself. If people want to improve, they're usually trying to improve themselves. But I've seen better results from people that do boot camps, for example, as opposed to someone who's training one-on-one sometimes. I've trained couples before, and I've never seen a client plank as long as this client planked when she was trying to beat her boyfriend. It was the craziest thing in the world, and I was like, why don't you do that every session? It was insane. I think, competition's huge, and even as you get older, some people naturally have it as well, and some people don't. Like, I think her boyfriend in that plank did kind of just give up. He wasn't really fazed about beating her. He kind of felt like he couldn't, so he just stopped. But she would have died in that plank, I think, to beat him. And same with groups. If you're training small groups of people, some people will just kind of go, oh, that's enough. Meanwhile, there are others that will pull out a PB because they were just trying to be the best. Interesting about the difference in genders, though, I've noticed with training males versus females as well. I've had a couple male clients. They're always the ones that get close to throwing up. They are the ones that I think don't really know when to stop. They'll just keep pushing. I don't know if it's a competitive thing or what it is. Meanwhile, the girls will seem to kind of stop before they get to that point.
Before they throw up.
Yeah. maybe it's the thinking part, like you talked about. Maybe it's the girls actually think about this a little bit more. Maybe they think about the consequences, whereas the boys are just trying to go for the ball. They're just trying to play the game. They're just trying to smash the workout. They don't really think about anything else. Potentially.
I mean, it sounds about right. But what's also really interesting is, and it's something you don't really think about, is what are the best types of environment to work out in. For example, you're saying some people perform better in boot camp. Some people perform better maybe themselves and a friend, themselves and a partner, whereas others no doubt will be just as good individually as they are in any other way. It's something that people should probably think about, because I know personally I've never really thought about that. I prefer to work out on my own, but that's only because I find that easier.
Have you done mostly individual sports versus team sports?
Yeah. I have. I've done a lot of individual sports.
Yeah.
But I've also, but I used to play rugby and do all that kind of thing as well. But even my sort of group sports, like when I was training for Ironman, which is obviously individual, but I'd go riding with my mates. And I found that to be really, motivating. And because I don't know what you find, but getting out the door can be the hardest thing.
100%.
Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe to our channel to learn more about how to impact people's lives. And don't forget to check out the description below so you can explore our website and social media.